The Galaxy Z Fold 8 is perfect, except it's not. This is our full review of the Galaxy Z Fold 8. Welcome back to SamMobile TV. You're here with Daniel. With the Galaxy Z Fold 8 in our hands for a little bit of time now, it's time to review it. The thing about this phone is that it's captured my attention and captivated it even. It's not perfect, but those imperfections almost don't matter because of how fun this thing is to use. I want to start with the design of it. The 201 grams that this thing weighs really helps sell this form factor. You buy into the whole compact nature of the form factor thanks to how light it feels when you're holding it. Considering you have both a phone and a tablet at that weight, it's crazy work. Holding the phone when it's closed, you get a bit of a sense of wonder, like a magical feeling about it. We are so used to holding stretched out, elongated forms that there's something so different and refreshing about holding something this compact and small. The 16 by 10, 5.5 inch cover screen is almost something from another time, minus the hideous bezels. Content displays on it nicely, depending on the apps, of course. Some apps like Facebook utilize the display great for content, but apps like Instagram kind of don't take advantage of it, at least for Reels. For regular scrolling of your feed in Instagram though, it does actually fit the display and immerse you quite nicely. I even really like watching YouTube on the cover screen. That 16 by 10 aspect ratio kind of fits nicely and fills the display really nicely too. And then of course you have the added benefit of tent mode, which I'll talk about no flex mode later on. The cover screen just makes sense to me, to be honest, because it reminds me of what Samsung were trying to do with the original Galaxy Fold back when that launched in 2019. They want you to have a reason to unfold it to the much bigger inner display, because whilst typing is achievable on the cover screen and getting around the software is definitely doable, typing and working on the inner display is where the fun is. To get into that inner display, you need to unfold it first. And the hinge has been completely redesigned so the opening experience feels fluid and smooth, and at no point do you feel like there's resistance there that will mean that you might break it, even though you wouldn't do that with the other ones. It just makes it feel like it's meant to be opened because it is smooth from start to finish. The downside of this hinge in particular though is no flex mode. Samsung haven't included the resistance to the later parts of the hinge, which means that at a certain point, it's just going to flop into the flat position and you don't have the capability to watch things in that flex state. And in turn, flex mode software isn't supported either because of it. It's a tad annoying and a bit of a missed opportunity. However, if you're someone who truly is desperate for that flex mode experience, then the Fold 8 Ultra still has that, so you can go up and step into that expensive smartphone instead. But the whole inner display is kind of what sells this thing. If you just bought the phone for this cover screen, well, you wouldn't really be buying it because it's the promise of that bigger immersive experience that really gives you what you need out of this thing, because you've got a true mini tablet form factor, one that is a 7.6 inch screen and has an aspect ratio of 4:3. It just feels natural for any productivity that you want to get done on there. Things like side-by-side note-taking inside Samsung Notes, scrolling through the notes and anything that you've written down. The side-by-side aspect looks great and fills the display nicely. Or things like catching up on your Now brief when you rotate it into portrait. And then from within there too, you can also click on current news, and then you've got news articles that you can read in that orientation. And above all of that, the content viewing experience is wondrous. Yes, when it's unfolded, it matches the same size in content as what the Fold 7 is. Difference with Fold 7 is you need to rotate it to match that. Whereas the Fold 8, it literally unfolds into that exact state. It also doesn't feel the same though, because you are holding less of a phone and it's lighter, and you've got less black bars top and bottom, so you actually feel more immersed in it. It kind of plays with your mind a little bit. I am seeing a lot of complaints about the speaker orientation. It's weird though, because there's definitely two of them and they definitely output stereo sound. You have a speaker here at the top and you have a speaker here at the bottom, and they output stereo sound from each one. And honestly, it's not even been an issue that I've even considered and thought of. The only reason why I know it exists is because of the internet. But in use, I genuinely do not notice it. And in fact, I've compared it to the Fold 7, and the speakers on here are louder, deeper, and better than the speaker experience you get on the Fold 7 from last year. Welcome back to SamMobile TV. You're here with Daniel. The Galaxy Watch Ultra 2. If you're rocking a Galaxy Watch of any generation, do not hesitate, upgrade immediately. I've got a list of reasons as to why you should. Some may say that's not a hard thing to do, but it's still better. The other aspects to that inner display, aside from just the fact it's great to use, is the technology that powers it. Samsung have the titanium alloy plates and film that have gone underneath the display structure, so it helps with the crease, and you definitely notice that reduction in crease as you're using it. But I think for me, the biggest upgrades to it are the increased brightness to 3000 nits peak, which means in outdoor scenarios, it's going to be a lot brighter and a lot better to see things. And then also the anti-reflective layer about it, which for me has been very, very enjoyable to consume media and content outdoors, but also just anywhere where there's a light source, it's a lot better and a lot more immersive. The cameras on this thing are where I imagine a lot of people will see a bit of a downfall here. The dual 50 megapixel setup, the 50 megapixel ultra wide, that's the same as the S26 Ultra, and the 50 megapixel main camera, which is the same as the Fold 6, but also the S26, it's an old camera, are there. They're not as inspiring as what you might find on the S26 Ultra or even the Fold 7 from last year, but they're capable. They will take capable shots in different scenarios, and the fact you've got the dual camera setup means you do have the ultra wide to go to, but also the main camera as well. What you do get though is versatility from these cameras, and that's down to the form factor. You've got the new software features that Samsung have brought in, like the APV codec. So this is the APV video codec on the Z Fold 8, and there's a lot obviously been applied, and I've also applied some audio eraser functionality as well, due to the fact that, well, it's very windy here out by the water. But it's just to show you the fact that this can do the APV stuff, and the quality output is quite good. So you're still getting a good capable video camera as well as a good capable photography camera as well. That's been brought in from the S26 Ultra thanks to the Snapdragon chip that's on here. And you've also got new features like dual recording. That's not new. What's new is the fact you can record in two 9:16 aspect ratios or 16:9 aspect ratios from the rear camera and the selfie camera at the same time. Then you've got all the usual foldable stuff like rear cam selfie, which takes some really good shots. And you've got cover screen preview, which is great if you've got kids because it means they can focus on looking at themselves whilst you're capturing them in the moment. The cameras just have a bit of a weird trick about them when the fold is open. When it's in landscape orientation, the photo or video is being taken in portrait orientation. And then when you rotate to this, in portrait orientation, the photo or video is being captured in landscape orientation. And that's just down to the fact that the cameras are positioned opposite to the orientation of the phone when it's in this position. Most people will likely take photos with it closed, so I don't think it's going to be much of an issue, but I just thought I'd highlight it. From a performance standpoint, there's a lot here that you can probably take advantage of. Of course, it's got the new Snapdragon chip, the same one as the S26 Ultra. Everyone's been talking about how good that is. And for things like gaming, you'll absolutely have no issues. And especially with that big inner display, that chip plus gaming performance is going to be great. I'm not a big gamer though. So for me, I'll test it and then I close it. The big change for me that I've really enjoyed is the 45 watt super fast charging 2.0. Just last night, I was working at my desk behind me here and I was down to like 30%, and I plugged it in and I could see that the super fast charging 2.0 started working straight away. Then I just worked away at my desk for a little bit, and then after not too long, the phone was up to around 74, 75%, which was a perfect time for me to take it off and get me through the rest of the night and into the morning. As far as battery life goes specifically, I'm probably not the best barometer here of how battery life works on a smartphone. I have lots of things going on my phone. I've got the smart things running in the background for location and for device control. I've got Android Auto, which is wireless, connected to my car, and I could charge the phone, but I'm intentionally not doing it at the moment so I can get the battery usage statistics. I've also got smartwatches connected all the time. My battery life is going to differ from yours, so it's always hard for me to tell you battery life and say it's good or not because I'm not really the best example. I can get through a day pretty comfortably. Right now, it's about 1 o'clock in the afternoon and I've had it off charge since about 5 in the morning. And I'm about 45%, which when I look at my battery stats, it's about 3 hours of screen on time and 3.5, 4 hours of screen off time. But this phone in particular is only 3 days old. I've had another Fold I've been using for the last 3 days before that, or a few days before that again, and this probably hasn't calibrated or even optimized itself just yet. So once that happens though, I'll keep you guys posted. As far as software goes, One UI 9 has been a treat to use. The extra touches with Galaxy AI, I've taken advantage of personally. I have especially been drawn to my fan cam, like a lot. As I have a son that plays football, quite a lot of football, my wife records all of his games, and what's great is using my fan cam, I can take the long, wide version of the clip and isolate him specifically and turn it into like a social media ready clip. And it's actually really good to see how it works, especially when he's doing things like nutmegs and then getting a shot on goal. It tracks him that whole way and looks sensational. I also think the little touches like 3-out multitasking on the wider screen format, really great to take advantage of too, because it gives you that extra bit of functionality out of that extra bit of width that you get out of this form factor. Overall, how I feel about this phone is almost indescribable because they're things that you can't really describe unless you're touching and holding it yourself. Like the feeling when you rotate it into portrait orientation and then read something whilst it's unfolded. Or like the feeling you get when you pop it into tent mode to consume some content whilst you're getting some work done. The feeling when you chuck it into your pocket or take it out of your pocket because it's actually so comfortable to sit in there. It's not taking up too much space. And then it's just the feeling you get when you pick it up and then don't want to put it down because it's pretty addictive to use. Maybe that's a bad thing, but I'd count it as a good thing because they've done a good job. Because you won't really get it until you try it for yourself. And I get it's a difficult thing to go and try for yourself because it's not cheap, but it's one of those things where if you do get it, you probably won't regret it. I kind of liken it to the S25 Edge from last year, except the difference is that this has more practicality about it. The S25 Edge is just a thin phone. It's a regular smartphone, just lighter. This is a thin, light smartphone that's compact, but then unfolds into a tablet. So it gives you something more. So you could be wanting to try that experience. And if this is your first Samsung Foldable, there's some things that are missing on here you probably won't even realize, and then you'll enjoy everything that it has to offer. But if you've used a Samsung Foldable before, well, here is what you're going to be missing out on. No S Pen. Huge miss for me. I think Samsung not including the S Pen as a function here is a big missed opportunity. That open canvas that you get, especially in portrait orientation, would have made the perfect opportunity for the S Pen to do some creative work or productivity stuff. But it's missing. No flex mode. Another miss, probably down to the way the hinge has been designed for this specific form factor. But watching content, you have a workaround with tent mode. But for capturing content, yeah, you don't really have anything that you can do with that. It's not there. No telephoto camera. Just the dual camera setup means you do miss out on that longer range zoom. And for me, the 5x camera on the S26 Ultra is wonderful. And not having any form of telephoto camera does feel like a bit of a missed chance here because of the fact that even the 3x, which isn't a great camera, would be better than nothing. But that's realistically the main drawbacks. And really, what you should do first is just appreciate what this form factor is. And then hope that all the stuff that isn't here, Samsung can find a way to put it in next year with the Fold 9. But if you wanted to jump in now with the Z Fold 8, do so. Or anything else that Samsung launched at Unpacked the other week, jump in the description down below. We've got all the links there that you can order from. Support SamMobile. Go check us out on our website, sammobile.com. Way more stuff on there as well. Find us on our socials, and we'll see you guys next time. Thanks.